My name is Sharon Leon, and I am the third project director for the Papers of the War Department. It's a project that is, I think, in some ways typical of lots of the sort of first generation of digital history projects. The U.S. War Department burned to the ground in 1800 and took all of its archival copies with it. And so for years and years and years, we thought that that portion of the early federal history was lost to us, basically. And then in the late 90s, a guy named Ted Crackel, he had this brilliant idea to go out into the world to about 3,500 different repositories with a bunch of undergraduates and scan the received copies of those papers in other collections. And so they went out around the country and scanned what turned out to be about, originally they thought it was 50,000 documents. It turns out it's more like 42,000. And Ted got in contact with Roy Rosenzweig and asked us to take the project. And at that point they had done all of the scanning and the basic metadata. So from 2006 to 2012, a bunch of graduate students under Christopher Hamner's direction enhanced that metadata. So we have sender, recipient, date, something we call a gist on the more important documents, it's sort of more extended, and a set of keywords. And so to anybody who's a documentary editor, that's going to look like a very bare bones index. But on the web, it's enough to basically find what you're looking for in general areas. But it doesn't have the fine-grained ability in that text to locate what we think are the important topics that are more related to social history. And so if you want to search for things that are about daily life and conditions amongst soldiers, that stuff's not going to show up in those keywords quite as much as it would if we had a full text transcription. And so that's how we embarked on thinking that we might like some help working on those transcriptions, because we were fairly sure that it was unlikely there was going to be sufficient federal funding to pay an army of people to do the transcription of those 42,000 documents, but that the people who used them and were interested in early national issues and the Revolutionary War might be willing to help us. The base of the project was built basically in 2006 before there were good, reasonable content management systems for dealing with documentary editing projects. And so Jim Safley, one of our web developers, built the system that PWD runs in from scratch. It is a one-off. And so we took our one-off PWD interface and paired it with a free open source technology, which is MediaWiki, and built the bridge. And the bridge is Scripto. On most days, crowdsourcing is a people problem. And it's got to be something that you feel like you can share with the world that will make a play to their altruism, to their sense of civic duty, to those kinds of things. And the people who work on Papers of the War Department are primarily people who feel like they want to give something back. I think the question for people starting these projects is not, do I just have something, do I have things that need to be transcribed? That's number one. And I think there are a lot of projects that go that way. But the real question is, do I have something that is meaningful work that the contributor will also get something out of it? And then it's all about outreach. It's all about outreach and targeting those audiences and making them feel welcome and creating a relationship with them. Because none of these projects are instances of if you build it, they will come. It just doesn't work that way. People will not randomly find you. And so to think about sort of a full planning process from assessing what kind of content you need, what's the appropriate tool and interface to work with that content, and what is really the user experience and interaction that's going to create a meaningful relationship between people out in the world and the work that needs to be done. Those are sort of the core questions.